Let's go, Chris.
Let's go. Handshake first. I missed it, man.
All right. Hey, Chris. Welcome to Growing E-commerce. We are your hosts, Mike Ryan of Smarter E-commerce, and
for the ones who forgot me, Christian Schamöller.
It's been a minute, Chris.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're in February. A whole month has gone by. Yeah.
What was the reason, actually?
So much stuff coming in.
Yeah, same here. But we're locked in again, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done 2 webinars this year. I'm working on a report now and everything else in between. And I know exactly what your calendar looks like. And that brings me to a story. I'm going to use that as a transition. So our producer, Kevin, kindly reminded us that we left a cliffhanger on last episode, our holiday episode, 2025. Would we wear those ridiculous Christmas pajamas all day long?
Really ridiculous.
Excuse me, those
awesome.
Yeah, charming, beautifully designed. And actually, this was an audience question too. Someone asked me this as well. So what happened?
Yeah, what happened, man?
I'm going to tell the story, okay? So, hell no, I put my clothes back on. But Chris's calendar, for people who don't know, it is a brick wall. Every second of every minute of his day is booked or double booked. And we finished recording and he looked at his watch and he's like, I have to jump in because he was like, should we change, shouldn't we? And he had to jump straight in a call. And then the next thing happened and the next thing and the next thing. And I saw him hours later, still wearing those pajamas.
And I was rocking these pajamas I was proud, man. I was really, really proud of me. And I even had a client call. But the good thing they didn't see my awesome Christmas socks, okay, and just the upper part of my body, and I could explain to the client why I was adjusted a little bit different this time. Yeah. It was a great episode.
Okay, it would hurt to lose a customer that late in the year,
No, I think quite the opposite happened. Okay. Yeah, I think he's more into us now than ever. So I think it's a great retention strategy.
All right. More PJs.
More pajamas for Smackies.
All right. But we've got another busy day ahead of us, as always. And so let's get right into it. The month of January. Did anything noteworthy happen in the month of January?
The question is a funny one. Anything, yeah. I would say at least one very astounding thing happened, right? I mean, quite substantial thing. 3 letters, UCP.
Yes, another acronym we get to care about.
What is UCP about, man?
Well, it stands for Universal Commerce Protocol. I'm getting it's there's now all these acronyms with these. There's ACP from OpenAI, and that's Agentic Commerce Protocol. And then these are kind of inspired from MCP from Anthropic, and that's Model Context Protocol. And yeah,
it sounds very positive.
Well,
is it positive?
I mean, the technology. Listen, Chris, it's like any other thing. The technology is neutral. It all depends on how it gets used.
Yes. But let's jump into it because for sure it's quite a substantial thing, and I think it's perfectly connected to what we have been preaching. Let's say about throughout 2026, that Google is very smart in embedding their AI capabilities into their core product, which is Google Search.
Yeah.
That we think the future of search will look significantly different to what we have now, and agentic commerce will be in the center of it. And the idea of this 0-click buy environment is something we both had talks about it.
Yeah.
And I think UCP is the nail in the coffin. So anyone who is doubting that quite obvious hypothesis as of today is, I think, on the wrong side of history. Because I think UCP is that major move Google made, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, there are layers here. I mean, because this agentic commerce thing is even much bigger than a single channel like search, but it will absolutely change the way that people are buying through search and interacting with search, and it's poised to change e-commerce. And so UCP is this kind of infrastructure layer under all that. There's this infrastructure layer of the models, the AI, which power these agents. And then if you actually want these agents to do something productive together, UCP, and in a commerce context, UCP is supposed to be the standard for that. So what this does is the goal is to modularize commerce, which is basically a fancy way of saying figure out what are the main Lego bricks inside of commerce, things like checkout, product discovery, payments, and
stock
so
level
on. Yeah,
analysis.
Exactly. So these key capabilities are defined, and then there's also other themes like discounting and everything else that can be out there. These are all called extensions. So it has to do with capabilities and extensions. And what happens is that different platforms will have different capabilities. If you're a PayPal, then of course payment is one of your capabilities. That'll be a shared capability. But there's other things. PayPal doesn't care about product discovery, for example. So when there are agents on behalf of these platforms and the website, the merchants and so on, they basically go through this process called negotiation, where they agree okay, these are the capabilities that we have in common, and this is then a structured way in which we can interact. So it's just kind of guardrails, basically.
And I mean, taking this move now into account, and maybe zoom out a bit from a strategic perspective. What's the aim here? I mean, for Google, just to be kind of as precise as possible, because at the end of the day, we don't know in detail. But I think there's a clear path now for Google. Where do you want to go with this UCP? Let's fast forward. I don't know. Let's say 2 years, Mike. What changes to the commerce environment will we be facing in 2 years?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, let's start with why Google is doing this. They're not new to buying infrastructure, building infrastructure. There have been these infrastructure races in the past. You can look at AI models as an infrastructure race. At first, people thought it would be, that there would be these moats around them and stuff, and it would be. OpenAI thought that they had this huge head start and it would take forever to people to catch up, but that was a wrong assumption. And now,
costly.
It's not entirely commoditized, but these other platforms have all caught up, and Google has even surpassed them. So this means that the models are just a layer of infrastructure, and it's valuable to have ownership of infrastructure, just like it's valuable to own railroad lines or stuff like that. So this is why Google, they do things like build undersea internet cables. So do a lot of these companies. They do all kinds of stuff. They've built cloud computing infrastructure. And this is a new infrastructure layer. And it's very important because this is also a standards war, a war to set the standard. It would be really kind of awkward for Google to be telling their merchants to integrate with OpenAI's ACP, this competing standard. And the question is, will there be one standard? I mean, it goes in the sense of having standards if there are multiples. But we can think back to the early days of electricity, the standards war between Tesla and Edison. It's a bit reminiscent of that. So they want to own this standard. They want to own this infrastructure layer. At least from it's open source, but from they've got their flag planted there. It just brings everything. It brings the center of gravity closer to them and the rest of their stack. And it's even just partly an ego thing.
Zooming in on Google. Again, I don't want to let you off the hook here. 2 years from now. Let's say 1 year from now. I'm really asking this question with all seriousness, because I think there are big changes about to happen. And the cool thing is, to all listeners who are not even that deeply connected to the commerce world, at the end of the day, it will impact everyone buying online. This is the cool thing about this UCP thing, because finally some changes in Google happen, which literally means something also to my friends who are not anywhere close to, whether it's standard shopping or standard search. They don't care, right? Or it's PMAX. But this is a big change, and maybe. For sure. Again, in 1 to 2 years, what will be different?
Yeah, well, this now depends on the product strategy of the the different platforms and retailers and whoever who will build on this, because like anyone can right now go and start building on UCP, or maybe there's some waitlist stuff you have to do. But so like here in Europe, for example, Zalando is already building with UCP. In the US, Walmart is building a UCP. And Google is, of course, building their own offer on UCP and their own products. So they're integrating this with AI mode, and then they're integrating this with Google Merchant Center and with Google Ads. So this will be their ecosystem. They're tying it all together. And in like a year from now, it's hard to say, because I have to remember when they said in 2000, I think they announced at Google Marketing Live 2023 that there would be like, is that when? There was like SGE at the time, which became AI overviews, and they were already talking about ads in SGE or AI overviews. And it took them.
Now we have 2026.
Yes, it's taken them years, and these things are still just rolling out. So while there's a lot of hype, this stuff just doesn't move as fast as you think it will. In the grand scheme of things, it's a big shift. But in a year from now, I think that there will be ad integrations and full merchant integrations with UCP that have left beta in at least the US, and other markets will be in beta or stuff like that. So that's probably like, but what that means is what we don't know is what will happen to consumer uptake.
Exactly.
And because once Google is building this stuff and ready to scale, then it depends how fast do people use this.
Because this is also my take on it, and like I said, I see it rather not that much, because you read the fucking protocol. I would never do this. But from a strategic perspective, I think on this technical layer, it sounds like they did a good job here. I think they collaborated with the right companies. They had great partners here. So I think maybe they will be ready to scale rather sooner than later. The big question is,
what will people do?
Pardon my French, fucking adoption rate. How our end consumers are really willing to say, hey, I want an Adidas sneaker, size 38, black and red, and let the buying process be handled by an agent. And here, I'm rather conservative, honestly speaking, because whoever I talked to the last couple of weeks and months, I think it won't happen overnight. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I think this is the big risk to this whole thing. Is it really driving value for the client, and will the adoption rate be there? And Google has miscalculated their adoption rates before, right? I mean, PMAX.
Yes.
They forced adoption because PMAX was not organically growing as fast as they wanted to. So for me, this is the big question.
Yes.
My hypothesis, Mike, give me your take on this. Let's say US e-commerce revenue. Let's focus on the US, because there the adoption rate probably will be faster than anywhere else. In 2 years, will it be rather 50% of e-commerce revenue going through going through this new way of shopping, or will it be rather 10%?
It'll be rather 5%.
Okay, that's a statement. I love that.
But the thing is that this can change quickly.
Yes. There will be tipping points. But I think this is
how much? What do you say, in 1 year or in
2 years?
Oh, 2 years.
10%.
10%.
But it's not 50%.
No,
it
won't be 50% in 2 years. I don't care what anyone says. It won't be 50% in 2 years.
Because I think it's so important. I think an important message to all the listeners, I guess clients are listening too, because there is this massive hype going on now. And I talk to clients almost every day. And of course, this lands on the desk of the CMO, head of e-commerce. Chris, what should we do? How fast what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I think there's time. You have to have a strategy, but I think it's very important. It's not happening overnight.
No. And the thing, it's a very tricky balance to draw, because, we see this time and again. Like, it was not that long ago that, pardon my French this time, CMOs were shitting their pants over NFTs. And that's so embarrassing now. Or shitting their pants over the metaverse. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
I think UCP is a different game.
Yes, and that's like this. What I think is different this time, this technology is real. it is credible.
Yes.
Google has done a much better job than OpenAI. This standard looks great. Their partnerships are immaculate.
Yes.
PayPal, you couldn't do better.
Walmart,
Walmart, this sends a huge message to Amazon.
I mean, we talked about that, I think, in 2025, that Walmart, as a marketplace, basically, because let's face it, who faces the biggest risk? Looking at UCP, is it the small retailer? Is it the big online retailer? Is it rather the marketplace? From your perspective, where's the biggest risk located?
I think that it gets painful in the middle. I think that small brands, niche products, this kind of stuff. We have to see how will this look demographically and per category, the adoption of this kind of technology. But I think that these differentiated products can do well here. They just need to make sure that the AI is able to discover
That's the point. And I think that leads us to another topic. But before we jump onto the question, and what then the online retailer can do about that now, I have another hypothesis I would like to double check with you. We briefly chatted about it a couple of weeks ago, but this UCP thing, is it making the life easier for the middle of the pack online retailer who is fighting now against the big whales in the classic e-commerce environment? Is it not changing a bit, or is it making it even more challenging for this SMB online retailer, right? Against the whales, Amazon, Walmart, and co.
I mean, I think if you are really a pure online multi-brand retailer of a medium size, this is quite challenging because your own brand is maybe not that well known, and it's not going to be that relevant to the AI. Like, what are your value propositions on speed, availability, cost, and stuff like this? These types of advantages tend to get concentrated in larger players, and so I think that they benefit because, in the end, you can't even really. There will be ads here, but if we're talking about what happens organically from the AI, if it really fulfills its mission, it's going to be doing a lot of price comparison, a lot of comparison of convenience and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And this will just be ruthless. This will be, and you're not even getting that traffic on your site. That's also painful to the big players because I've been a huge bear on retail media networks for as long as this podcast has been around, basically. So this is not new, but that thesis gets a lot stronger now because
paying off now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I was a bear for other reasons, but it really accelerates now because if they're not getting the traffic on their site, they're not getting the data that builds the first party audience moat. There's not, it all just, the whole thing falls apart, of course.
Absolutely. Everything is connected more than ever. I mean, okay, by the way, I co-sign this hypothesis. I just read an article the other day where they tried to make the argument that the leverages you have, especially to be visible organically, are now, it's more a level playing field. And I think let's jump right into this topic. Because what's interesting now is Google, from our perspective, I think did another smart thing. They are now moving the responsibility that, let's say, AI overview or AI mode is really able to read your website, your product catalog the best way possible. They are moving the responsibility even more to the online retailer by launching 10 to 12 new data feed.
It's starting out with that many, and they even in the article, the press release about this, they said dozens, plural,
dozens,
plural, which is crazy.
So that that means that the AI is right now not as capable as it should be, and that it needs more information, more structured information. Is that the underlying message?
I think there's a couple things here. Yeah, so they're looking for conversational attributes, and these are just really detailed pieces of information about your product and stuff like that. And even things like question and answers, they want this, and they're provided in your data feed, like in Merchant Center. This will then be relevant for your ads, but also your product discovery, like that product discovery capability by UCP. In AI mode, that's going to work largely based on your feed and not just your website. So the thing is that in principle, Google could crawl your landing page and learn an awful lot about your product. And I think that was, for a while, it looked like that's the direction. They've been crawling landing pages for years. With dynamic search ads and all kinds of stuff. That's not a new capability. And with this new technology, it seemed like, okay, here we go. Will feeds even be necessary in the future? But this is almost a silent admission. Like either they can't, or they don't want to, or a little bit of both.
Or the results aren't good enough.
Exactly. I think that the risk of hallucination is too high.
Absolutely.
I think they really, for the consumer experience, they're putting a high degree of emphasis on confidence and correct information so that they have the trust, because that will be a major factor in adoption.
Sure.
If it's hallucinating, people are not going to use that stuff. And there might even be legal claims.
Yeah, legal claims. And I don't think, because there's this, I think, natural doubt in our minds that shopping is actually a cool thing. Why should I hand this over to an assistant?
Yeah.
And if the assistant is not doing a great job, I don't even know that the assistant gets a second chance. So if the quality is not there, I also think it's kind of a safety net for Google.
Yeah.
Which I think fair play. My take on this would be, I think, although it's kind of outsourcing a huge load of responsibility to the online retailer, I think it's a great chance for online retailers to have to impact, right, the visibility, and especially organically, by having the right data feed strategy. Let's call it like this. I think it's not even a bad thing, although it will require work, a lot of know-how.
Yes.
A lot of testing, because no one knows how this all. I mean, we will be certainly very much focusing on this as a company. But from my perspective, this might be even a good thing from that perspective.
I think it's totally a good thing, because if the AI were handling this, it would be another thing that's just completely commoditized, democratized.
Yeah.
Yes, you could have better landing pages that would support that process better, but this really excuse me, this really puts it in your control. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to do, but we're just saying that these retailers in the middle could get squeezed. There's all of this emphasis on availability, price, etc. But there's this whole other dimension about finding the right product to meet very specific criteria. How do we do that? So, if you can, there are people who are going to do a great job at this, people who are going to do a bad job of this, people who aren't going to do it at all. And there's, for certainly, at least in the near to medium term, a huge advantage to be found in doing a great job at this.
Absolutely. And I think the big balance, just the other day, I had a conversation with basically the owner of a quite successful online shop in Germany. The question is, of course, probably you have to do some restructuring in your company. Maybe you even have to create new roles, new teams, to conquer that new challenges with regards to agentic services and new data feed strategies. But the major question he asked me was, how big will it be for us, right? The next 2 to 3 years, because there's a massive trade-off. Yeah. We have limited resources. How much energy should I put on this now? And this leads me back to the question I asked you at the beginning. Will it be rather 5% or 50%? And I think this is the insecurity a lot of online retailers have now. It's a massive hype.
Yes.
But how much will materialize in my bottom and top line if I put loads of resources on, let's say, crafting a completely new data feed strategy for my company?
And I mean, the honest answer is I don't.
We don't know.
I don't,
for sure.
But I think I just based
I love to hear that from you, because you know so much things, man. But you don't know this. I love it. We don't know. Fair enough.
But if I look at what has happened so far, I mean, 2023, people were like, maybe AGI this year. 2024, maybe AGI this year. 2025, maybe AGI this year. And meanwhile, the company who is most capable and best suited to put ads in AI surfaces, it took them a long time to do that.
Absolutely.
Then people are talking about, I don't want to miss the boat on OpenAI ads.
Yes.
brother, you're not gonna. You can swim to that boat. That boat,
hold my beer.
that boat is not going anywhere anytime soon. That is a slow boat. Okay, it's because it's not like it. That's just the way it is. It takes time to build an ad network.
It's not a speedboat,
and it takes time to overhaul an ad network or any kind, like to overhaul e-commerce. Can't happen that fast. But at the same time, you have to pay attention.
Exactly. You can't miss out on that one.
And there will be advantages to the first movers.
Absolutely. So, and I think this is the challenge now. And I think that the good companies will find this balance. And I also see chances there, honestly speaking, for the SMB online retailer, because maybe they are a bit more flexible. Maybe they are more flexible in balancing their resources. They're quicker to adapt. Maybe this is a chance there. And I'm with you. I think jumping all in on this is certainly not the greatest idea unless you have unlimited resources. But the trade-off you face is not worthy, probably, because we're talking about 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
Maybe in the US, Europe will be maybe even 1 to 2 years lagging.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know.
Anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, I would say.
So I think this is the right message. Have the right partners, I think. Outsource where you can and try to be connected to this topic, but don't go all in. I think it would be stupid.
No, you can't overreact, you can't underreact, but you have to react.
You have to react. But this is a tricky situation.
Yeah,
I fully understand. Man, another hypothesis.
Yes,
I brought one more with me.
All right. Okay.
Maybe it's an easy one, but I think it's also interesting for our retailers.
Yeah.
There was also a question from a client, and a fair question. We have ACP from basically ChatGPT, right? And we have UCP and MCP, I think, from Anthropic.
Yeah, that's a general purpose.
But the general purpose. Let's say this will be the war of protocols. Mm-hmm. We had this in Tesla. We had it with Blu-ray and what was the other?
And DVD or what? No.
HD DVD.
No, I remember.
And you see it right there that this war for protocols is a big one. Mm-hmm. And you should be betting on the right protocol, or maybe you can get. But what's your take? Is it a rather winner takes it all? Again, a rather question. Winner takes it all. Will it be ACP or UCP? Is there a chance that they're just both and having a fair stake in market share? What's your take on it?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, even Amazon's also rolling out
joining the game.
Yeah, they're rolling out a protocol too. I have to read more about it. It's at time of recording, it's quite new. But I think that none of these companies are going to let this go. Absolutely not. So no one's going to concede the victory to another party, but Google will win, and that Google will win. So you can bet on Google pretty easily right now, and
yes,
and and it's by the way, it's not just like Google is kind of. Yeah, they're at the front of this. You can even, if you're in the docs, you notice that it's in this googly font and stuff. There's these little clues in there. But it's not only Google; it's all their partners as well. It is open source, but they're just going to win this. And it doesn't mean that the other ones won't go away. But it's the same now as we see dominant ad networks and then these more secondary and tertiary ad networks. It's a bit.
By the way, we can maybe we have a living experience in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
The classic paid search market share, right? Microsoft's there and it won't go away.
Yeah.
But Google is winning the game with, I don't know, 85% market share.
Yes.
Maybe it plays out that way.
And Google, by the way, they've also done. They've been very smart. Like if we look at these other infrastructure layers, like the models, for example, if you're in Google Cloud, they want you to use Vertex. Mm-hmm. That's their AI. Mm-hmm. That's inside cloud, and they've built lots of cool things that work kind of exclusively with Vertex. But they also support every other LLM that there is. Yeah. They call it the model garden. Yeah. And even, UCP is compatible with MCP because it wouldn't be smart not to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, but by the way, I co-sign that. I think there were the earnings calls a couple of days ago. Look at the numbers. I think Google has the perfect flywheel.
Yeah.
No financial advice again, but no, they have, and they are smart in embedding this. And I think they have by far the best starting position, like you
Yes.
said. But even Google, it takes time. Even Google needs time. So I think the good message to our clients and all the online retailers: there is time. Don't overreact.
Yeah, definitely.
But a substantial announcement. Yeah,
it's big.
What else happened in January? But we're out of time, man. Maybe we should cover that in another episode.
I think that was it anyway, Chris.
This was it.
That was
sure. It was a quiet January.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, good to be back in front of the microphone. Good to see you again, Chris. I have hardly seen you this new year so far, actually.
Yeah.
We're a month
by
in.
the way, that's true. That's true. We'll get better now.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, nothing changed. You're my favorite American, and I love to be around.
I'm so relieved to hear that, Chris. Thank you. A weight off my chest.
This it has to be a great day now for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel UCP stepping on my neck, but then at least
you're still my number one.
All right. Well.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yep. Thanks everyone for listening. So this has been another episode of Growing E-commerce, brought to you by Smarter E-commerce. To learn more, you can visit smarter-ecommerce.com. And as always, we really appreciate it if you give us a shout out online. Actually, there were a couple of cool mentions after some last episodes recently, and so we really appreciate that. Helps a lot. And thanks. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.